Look, here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
It was a Jewish doctor.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of the tentatively titled Schizo Post. I'm here with horror novelist Spencer Weedman to discuss our newest, oldest enemy, the cosmic death fungus.
How's it going, Ryan? How you doing tonight?
I am doing much worse than I was before I learned about this.
That seems to be the consensus. It's something that you're better off not knowing about.
Yeah, I feel like that for most of these. But unlike most conspiracies, the people behind this research say that there is something you can do to combat it. But kind of before we get into this, you brought my attention to CDF. This wasn't me foisting a conspiracy on you. And I kind of want to know how you even came across this, because you don't seem as ill-adjusted as you should be to know about this.
I guess it's just one of the things that I stumbled upon whenever I was researching the first novel that I released, which was relatively esoteric, and I did a lot of trolling in X threads, etc. And I guess I stumbled upon one day the worm pill, which I'm sure you guys are going to be doing an episode on, and then it eventually evolved into the cosmic death fungus. So I'm planning on incorporating a little bit of it into my next novel. So I hope it's fruitful, actually, and not something to just be paranoid about.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where the purported effects of this cosmic death fungus resemble the purported effects of just about every disease. But the really interesting aspect of this conspiracy is that this guy started making threads, I want to say about 9 months ago. And the first thread he made came equipped with this, how many pages? 35-page PDF, that he claims was penned by a collective of scientists, geneticists, researchers, professors, and philosophers. There was some heavy lifting there. And I know you've read this probably a few times. You want to give the people a quick rundown?
Sure, yeah. Here's basically the cosmic death fungus, which from now on I will be referring to as the CDF theory. Here's a nice little, I guess, soundbite. Basically, what they claim, or this guy claims, we don't really know if it's a group or one person, but what they claim is that fungus altered our genetic code about 15,000 years ago. And they traced the infection to a specific geolocation and point in time, which I don't have on hand, but they've got it tracked to a cave system, I think. The fungus affected different cytokine pathways and very specific genes that allowed chronic systemic infection of the cosmic death fungus while we are in the womb. It takes early control of our bodily systems and uses us as a food source. And they say that it is intelligent and can work in colonies or as one organized collective.
Okay.
They say, as you said, that it contributes or is responsible for nearly every disease known to man. And Western doctors are specifically trained to look everywhere but the root of the problem. Heady stuff.
Yeah, so have they specifically described what this fungus is, what it looks like? Does it have a proper name other than cosmic death fungus?
Yeah, there's a couple different ones, and I think Candida is the primary one. And I know that candidosis is an actual clinical disease, so I think that's probably the fundament of the argument. I'm not certain. There are a lot of different, as is the case with these kinds of things, there are conflicting different accounts from individuals who are involved in it. So,
oh, okay. But we should probably go with the account given by the philosophers and the scientists and
Oh, of course, man. You wouldn't want to go against philosophers and scientists and geneticists, right?
Right. No, of course not. And Candida is like colloquially known as yeast. Is it responsible for like yeast infections?
Yes.
Okay. So since I guess yeast infections, or at least the risk of yeast infections, seems to be kind of ubiquitous, do you know how they explain why the human body hasn't figured out a way to shut this whole thing down?
Shut this whole thing down. They basically say that let me actually use their words here. It takes over. It like suppresses our immune system. It affects our what the cytokine pathways in our body, which is part of our immune system. I think I'm gonna probably put my foot in my mouth with that one. And it also alters our genes to allow us to be more habitable hosts for this fungus.
Oh, okay. I guess that's the part about it infecting you in the womb is that it's able to manipulate your genes, or are these like epigenetics built where the fungus is actually like while you're living changing your genes?
I haven't honestly seen too much of the epigenetic stuff. It's more like, but I guess they would have to go all the way back to the beginning to make that epigenetic argument, and they do. They trace it, like they said, they traced it all the way back to a specific cave system where humans were existing. I think it was alongside pigeons, and then the Candida in the pigeon poop was infecting their gums and stuff, whatever. But they claim that, I guess, that living among that epigenetically made them susceptible to Candida. I don't know. I'm not too versed in epigenetics, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is a surprising amount of detail. So the first thing they do in their paper is they name the enemy, this Candida, this fungus. They tell us supposedly exactly how it spreads. So you'd figure they must have some sort of cure or treatment developed, right?
They do. It's they call it the NAC protocol, and that is the N is or the NAC protocol. It's named after N-acetylcysteine, which is kind of like a supplement that's been going around the internet for a little while. I think McAfee, the antivirus guy, was big on NAC, and a couple other, I guess, internet outlaws have come out in favor of the NAC protocol, and it's been going around for a while. But paired with NAC, they also take oregano oil and black seed oil. So that is the quote-unquote NAC protocol that's supposed to help rid your body of these Candida quote-unquote biofilms. So it's like you have a morning dose and then you have an evening dose.
You know what's interesting is that in the past year or so, the FDA has begun regulating NAC. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I think it was involved with the. Was it involved with COVID? Did it have something to do with COVID? Yes, or?
Exactly. It was being used as an over-the-counter COVID treatment.
Interesting. Huh.
Which prompted them, apparently, to regulate it as a drug because it was, whatever, supposedly dangerous, even though NAC is a well-known, is it mucolytic or mucolytic, the pronunciation? But I think if you're conspiratorially minded, COVID may have been a, cheeky, convenient excuse to ban a supplement people had been using to treat all sorts of more esoteric maladies.
I mean, I can see that. I've said before that I will literally give any conspiracy theory a little bit of time in my head. I have a good time, I guess, entertaining the reality that those conspiracy theories were born from. So it's you could call it a hobby. You could call it a little bit of I don't know what, but I think it kind of stems from the storyteller in me. It's just entertaining to think about. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there.
I mean, yeah, you seem like you maybe collect conspiracy theories like trading cards.
Yeah, it's like I think every writer has like trading cards. It's a good way to put it. That they can. I know that to make a little bit of an aside. Like Ryan Eno had that deck of cards that he would use to fix any sort of writer's block that he had. And it's kind of similar to that. It's just something you can look at to just think about other things. And for some reason, the schizopathology just, it fascinates me to no end.
Yeah, ironically speaking, one of the supposed effects of this cosmic death fungus is inducing a psychosis-like state in its victims. So it's possible the cosmic death fungus is responsible for the cosmic death fungus conspiracy theories.
It's either that or it's the worms that are responsible for the cosmic death fungus conspiracy, but I'm sure you guys will get into that on the next episode.
We're Team Worm here. Well, we're Team Worm being responsible for all the evil in the world, not actually Team Worm.
Yeah, so I think that the cosmic death fungus stuff, if it's real, like let's put on our conspiracy hats or conspiracists hats. I think that cosmic death fungus is the progenitor for the worm thing. I think it's a small idea compared to the worm pill. If it does have an effect on your behavior on anything whatsoever, it is minor, more like a backseat driving, whereas the worm is more like passenger seat driving. But yeah, I think that I'm not certain which one I give more credence to right now. I need to, I guess, listen to your guys' worm pill to make up my mind.
Now, I mean, just to get, and this is as schizo as we'll get, if they were to present a model of what Candida looks like in the body, and because I'm assuming they're not just depicting it as patches of this fungal infection. I'm sure it's like some sort of system-wide malady with connective tissue between it. I bet it would look quite similar. It would look quite wormian, to say.
I would say it wouldn't really, if these people, the people that created the CDF stuff, these scientists, geneticists, researchers, professors, and philosophers were to make a model of what CDF would look like in the body, I bet it would look like a body.
Okay. Because
to them, they think that it is us. It is fundamentally part of us, and it is something. It permeates every system of the human body, including the brain. I know for a fact that candidosis can affect the brain. I know that it can lead to specific types of arthritis in your joints. So just based on that alone, I would say it would at least look like a nervous system, like stripped from the body. So,
okay,
I don't know, man.
Well, let's go into that a little bit, because you mentioned that they hypothesized that we came into contact with this infection 15,000 years ago. I would say if you're not one of those people who believe in fake history, which is another episode.
That is another episode, man.
If you believe in history, our last 15,000 years has been pretty, compared to the previous however many, it's been pretty exceptional. Is there a possibility, do you think, that the cosmic death fungus may be benevolent or helpful to us?
Oh, absolutely, and you'll see this in the not to sound a little enthusiastic there. The fungus kind of sparked up on me. No, there are a lot of people in these threads that these people post on. I forget the name of their. It's like I'd have to go through the. Okay, hold on. Godlikeproductions.com. They've got a forum where they specifically post their research and stuff. There are people who post in there and said, what if you guys kill what is making us human? What if these connections basically are part of what give us a soul? So that's something scary to think about, especially since to do research for this episode, I've been going through the NAC protocol myself, just to see if it does anything for me on the 3-week scale that I've had to prepare. So
dude, it's compelling, because if you look at something like the stoned ape theory, which I'm going to call hypothesis, not a theory, the idea that we came into contact with some sort of plant or entity that gave us this exceptional intelligence, it maps pretty closely with this idea, if you take it from a positive perspective.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's either, what is it? Is it you mentioned before, I think when we were chatting about this, whenever I mentioned it initially, was the panspermia.
Yes.
So I don't know if you're going to get into that, so I won't expand on that. But it's like it's weird to think that and then I'm sure that there are lots of people in those forums, like I said, that are basically saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be messing with this stuff.
And I mean, listen, not to sound shady and like I'm serving the fungus here, but it would be just as compelling if that was a perspective they were coming from. And I don't know, because I read this whole PDF when we first figured we would be doing this episode, and I can't remember if they invoked panspermia. I know I might have said they invoked two shady theories, which was one was panspermia and the other was epigenetics. Do they have a spiel about panspermia?
I don't really think so. The name in and of itself, cosmic death fungus, implies panspermia, and I guess I haven't done enough of my homework, or there comes a point where you start filtering what you're reading when it comes to these kinds of things. So it's like you have to take it as a gestalt and stop looking at the micro aspects of it. So and like I said, I'm trying to approach this from a research as to work it into the novel I'm currently working on, and I kind of filter out some of that crap. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with researching conspiracy theories is that sometimes you stare into the abyss, and now you've got 3-4 bottles of NAC in your cabinet.
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing is, I used to like maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I was 160 pounds lean, and I'm 5'8". I'm a shorty, so I had a lot of muscle mass on me, and I was working out a lot. And NAC was very popular back then with the fitness crowd. So I mean, it's been going around for years and years and years, and it just now being purported as this Candida cure-all. I mean, to be fair, they do use NAC to weaken biofilms in the body. Clinically, it is a prescription drug used to weaken Candida biofilms. That's unquestionable. But as a cure-all, paired with, I guess, the oregano oil and black seed oil, I haven't seen more than just... Well, they say they have all this clinical research backing them up, etc. I haven't seen it. I trust that they do because, like I said, I will entertain any conspiracy theory. But the science backs up NAC, at least.
Okay, not to get too granular here, but in those clinical settings where NAC weakens biofilm, is the application method applicable here to like oral ingestion?
Yes, I think so. I think over the counter, or no, yeah. So oral, it's used for, as I mentioned before, arthritic candidosis. So yeah, you'll see people in, let's say, Reddit threads or something where they talk about, I wish I cannot find NAC because of you guys. I cannot find NAC for my arthritic candidosis because of you, cosmic death fungus guys. Please stop.
So that person's been, her mind's been hijacked by the fungus.
You could say that, yeah. Please stop taking this. Do not talk about this anymore.
Well, listen, NAC seems pretty bulletproof. I mean, it's used in a lot of these, not just these crackpot theories, but in general as a, how do you pronounce it? Panacea? I don't know why I'm saying words I can't pronounce. Panacea? Whatever. What about this this oregano oil and the black seed oil?
So yeah, the oregano oil and the black seed oil. The theory behind it, I think, is that it's called carvacrol in oregano oil, and I'm not sure what it's called in black seed oil, the active in, but it has clinical backing. It has, there have been research, I think it's in rats and in vitro. So obviously you can't always make that leap between in vitro and rats and humans. But, you know, we make that leap all the time societally when it comes to medicines. I think that the science backs both of them, and I think that the science backs all of them. But I don't want to put any sort of my reputation on the line to just be like, yes, the NAC protocol works, because so far I have yet to see anything besides anecdotal things, anecdotal stories about being cured of these biofilms, etc. And the regiment, the NAC protocol is supposed to continue for a minimum of 2 months, quote unquote, then move to the maintenance phase for 3 or more weeks, after 3 or more weeks with no die-off symptoms. And die-off symptoms are these vague things that they could attribute to anything, man. So it's hard to say, yes, this is real, yes, this is working. I don't want to fully discount it because it's fascinating, but at the same time, the rational part of me is just like, bro, they're trying to sell you some supplements.
Yeah, the thing with the die-off symptoms is, when I was reading those, because when I was browsing the board a couple of weeks ago, there was a scare thread or some sort of antagonistic thread to the CDF guys, suggesting that some of the things they were prescribing were harmful. And the die-off stuff is, to me, less like, okay, any possible symptom you have could be the protocol working, and more like any negative symptom you have, anything that seems like, I don't know, maybe you're dying or something, is actually just the fungus being removed from your body.
See, that's the weird overlap, is yes, that is true, but also like these things happen whenever those die-off symptoms don't only happen for Candida. They happen for worms. Whenever you lose worms in your body, there are violent reactions. So it's like, is there overlap? I have no idea. I remember the worm pill stuff back whenever it first started, and I didn't do enough research, but like, I don't know if these die-off symptoms also match worm pill stuff. And if they do, then like, maybe they're just giving their worms a hard time with this oregano oil and black seed oil, and the worms are fighting it. There's so much overlap between the cosmic death fungus and the worm stuff that it's like, I don't know what to believe.
I will say the protocol seems really focused on gut clearing, which makes sense given what they, especially when you look at the perspective of the people the worm pill people, the parasite people. It seems like it could do a significant damage to maybe your gut bacteria.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is like, your gut microbiome could be affected, especially with the black seed oil. The black seed oil is meant to like lubricate your guts to allow that to stop like the biofilms from latching on, so they kind of slip through. But it seems to me that the biggest thing that has an effect on anything in your body is the NAC, and the fact that it makes you slough mucous membranes. And that, in and of itself, is potentially dangerous for people. It's good and it's bad at the same time. So I don't... I've seen people saying, I can breathe better than I've ever breathed, or I can breathe better than I ever been able to in my life because of the NAC. It helps you shed the mucus in your lungs, etc. But it's like, and then they attribute that to losing Candida instead of just losing mucous membranes. So I don't know what to think, man. I just believe them. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is some grand plan by this guy to clear everybody's sinuses or something. Sure, at
maybe, and see, and I also have to say, like, the idea that they're using it to sell supplements, like I said, also doesn't really hold weight because all these companies are selling the same supplements. So it's not like one guy, like let's say Paul Stamets is trying to sell specific mushroom supplements. Like when you're hearing Paul Stamets talk about mushroom supplements, you can assume he's being a huckster. But when you hear someone talk about NAC and oregano oil, which have been around forever, being used clinically to just clean out the guts, to shrink biofilms in your body, you kind of you perk up a little bit because it's not obvious immediately. It passes the sniff test that somebody is not trying to sell you something. So I take that back about maybe somebody's trying to sell you something, supplement. Weird.
I kind of want to pull in on that. You mentioned stamets and mushrooms. The tone of the book, the pamphlet, is sort of antifungal in general. Like, it actually takes shots at Paul Stamets for saying that mushrooms are our allies. Are you anti-fungus?
I think in general, and if you kind of troll the forums that Godlike Productions forum I mentioned, people kind of have steered away from the initial like pure antifungal, antifungus, anti-all, everything with spores. They've kind of steered away from that, and they're kind of hyper-focused now on the Candida, and then I think there's one other adjacent flushing fungus that they've tried to focus in on as well. But yeah, they don't now think that all fungus are bad. I think you've mentioned before that there are quite a few funguses that are actually anti-parasitic even. And there are even funguses that are anti-candida. So it's like you can't be pure anti-fungus and be pure cosmic death fungus anti-candida at the same time. I think that to take that perspective would be maybe hypocritical is the word. I don't know. Ignorant is probably the word. Yeah.
Because like you said, some mushrooms are anti-fungal.
I mean, so yeah, mushrooms have evolved protection against candida out in the wild. So it's like these organisms are also designed, are also, I shouldn't say designed, good lord, that's another argument in and of itself. These organisms also evolved to fight the same things that we are fighting. And I think that is the crux of the worm pill and the candida thing, is like they want us to be pure humans. And they want us to shed these stowaways, whatever that means.
We've gotten pretty into the, I guess, details. I kind of want to like get like a bird's eye view here in terms of the conspiracy, because obviously with this being on X and with the general tone of the paper is that this information has been hidden from us because it's not hard to find. It's so easy to find that one guy discovered this supposed source for all of our maladies. What is the conspiratorial perspective here?
See, I'm not 100% certain on that one. I think that there isn't much, and I don't mean to be a buzzkill here, I don't think there isn't much of a conspiratorial bent to it, as there is with the worm pill stuff. I think they claim it's just bleeding edge and that it hasn't been revealed yet. That I mean, if you look at the Godlike Productions thread, they basically say, you will know about our research very soon. We are doing clinical studies, etc., that will be revealed to the public very soon. We are letting you know about our findings as we find them. And these threads go on for, let me look at the page real quick. The newest Cosmic Death Fungus General on Godlike Productions, where the quote-unquote scientists post their findings, is currently 29 pages long. And that's nothing to sneeze at, but it's also not very big. But the original thread, it looks like it peaked around 45 pages before it got, I think, deleted. I need to go through it again and really find out what happened there, but I think there was some drama or something. But either way, like, this is relatively, I would say, novel compared to the worm pill stuff. At least as in my mind it is. I might be wrong about that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is, like, it's new. Worm pill threads are years old. I mean, they got very popular maybe in 2021. But this guy, just to talk about, like, the origin of this on 4chan, this guy started posting his threads in March. Like, he tried a few methods of kickstarting this trend on X before he really got a hit with the Cosmic Death Fungus Generals.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he says in these threads, like, he titles them all, or at least he titled the original one, the original thread that got 45 pages of discussion, Cosmic Death Fungus, this is pre-disclosure, ! So he claims that this is knowledge that we are going to have very soon. So like I said, I don't think there's much of a conspiracy trying to suppress. He doesn't claim there's a conspiracy trying to suppress this. He just claims that a group of scientists, etc., have recently discovered this connection and are trying to figure out how widespread it is.
Okay, and their treatment is over-the-counter timing. So we talked about NAC being regulated by the FDA, supposedly because it was increasing popularity with COVID, but also the ivermectin scandal, because I'm not sure, it obviously isn't in the protocol, but ivermectin has this anti-parasitic substance is mentioned in the CDF threads on occasion. I guess the conspiratorial bet, if you were reaching, would be that the heavyweight drugs of in terms of treating this disease have been suspiciously hard to acquire lately.
I can see that. I can see. Yeah. Okay, so that's the leaping off point then, right? Like, why have they been hard to get? What was the angle? Why ban it during COVID? Why try to suppress ivermectin during COVID? Yeah, okay, I can see it. All right. Yeah. So what is actually happening here? Are you wanting me to get into it? Like, actually think about this?
You'll have to like cook up a conspiracy on the fly. It's more like these things, NAC especially, because NAC has been popular for a decade on the internet. Ivermectin was new. Admittedly, it was this new thing to conspiracy theorists or whatever as a at-home treatment. But NAC being scheduled or at least looked at by the FDA was so odd.
I agree. No, it came at a weird time, and I think that it's weird. Like, you have all these players coming together, like McAfee is committing or getting suicided. That he was a very vocal proponent for NAC. He basically said, like, you want to know how I lived this? I forget the tweet, but it's like, you want to know how I lived this old and looked this good? It's because I take a boatload of NAC every morning, and I wash it down with whiskey. And it's like, why all of a sudden are they trying to schedule it as something? That's a weird bent, man. I didn't get into that at all whenever I was reading. I kind of focused too much on the pre-disclosure thing, like, oh, I'm in early.
I mean, the pre-disclosure is like a interesting hook to get people to really invest in reading this 36-page PDF. But really, I think the easy answer for NAC was that it was just too effective. That's the boring and also more terrifying answer, that I was just kind of too effective at treating a whole battery of maladies, and it was easily accessible, cheap, online, and they had to put a stop to that.
Oh yeah, man. NAC has been like, I don't remember how recent it is that they've kind of realized that it can simulate fasting.
Really?
It has a similar effect as fasting on the I think on the maybe I'm thinking of something else on the liver. I might be wrong, but I mean, am I thinking of the no, hold on. So it helps the liver to just kind of cleanse, and it sheds mucous membranes so you can breathe better. NAC. Maybe I think I'm getting my my pills mixed up here, but yeah,
it is used, for Tylenol overdoses because of its still hepatoprotectivity or whatever. But
yeah, and it also helps to replenish. I think it's called glutathione. Yeah. Glutathione. I don't even want to Google it. I know I mispronounced it. I don't care. It's helped to replenish that in the brain, and they say that's good. I couldn't give you the reason why. What that does, I don't even know if they could give me the reason why. So, it also apparently helps replenish that in individual cells. So, I'm just shrugging. I know you can't hear that, but I'm shrugging. I just believe them.
It's also shown like it's had good clinical results for controlling compulsive behaviors of all sorts, controlling addictive behaviors of all sorts.
That's right. I completely forgot about that. It can help with alcoholism, right?
Yes.
Okay, wild. Yeah. Huh. Now that's another conspiratorial bent that you could take.
Dude, we could make a whole fucking show just about the fucking FDA. To the north. They pulled paracetamol recently. I can't even get into this.
Oh man. Who recently? Nootropics Depot recently pulled all of their race tams. I've never done one, so I don't have any dogs in the game or in the fight. But like, that's brutal. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are just out right now.
Oh yeah, and the price you got to order from the Russians, and they charge too much. It's a whole thing. Hate the FDA, but this is off show, obviously. We have hit 40 minutes. I don't know if there's anything else, because I don't know. The name was Cosmic Death Fungus, but this is very nitty gritty. This is not as occult, magic sounding as the name implies.
I think I agree with you. I think it's meant to shock. It's an initial gut reaction, and I use the word gut as a pun. It's a gut reaction that they're trying to get out of you. So I don't know if it's really that alarming as the worm pill is. The worm pill is the big bad boy, because like the worms, they really affect your behavior, and they have been proven to affect behavior, and they've been proven to affect thought processes in mice, etc. They're even taking complete control over organisms, etc. But I think that there's just this idea of insidious control of our bodies that permeates through both of these. That like there's this coming back to what it means to be human, and a seeking what it means to be quote unquote human that is honestly admirable. I don't know if it's wrong. I don't care. They're trying to, I guess, regress to some sort of a human mean through taking oregano oil, like boofing garlic cloves. So like that's whatever makes them feel more human. I am on board for everything except for the boofing garlic cloves, because I don't want to walk around farting sulfur all day. I got a family. So
it is funny that they got away with telling people to stick black seed oil up their ass. That is a surprise.
I could see it as a joke. It's like a look what we made these people do kind of thing. They made me take oregano oil for 3 weeks, and it makes my burps smell like a rancid Mountain Dew. So like, they got me. Sure, you guys got me. If it ain't real, that is.
Yeah, I agree with you that the worm pill and CDF and demons and goo and Chinese medicine are all probably describing the same thing. But I don't, like, there's going to be an assumption that this is all sort of an attempt to describe, I guess, psychosis or psychological symptoms that may not have an obvious physical cause. So that's just, we throw these things into catch-all concepts like demonic possession or whatever. But maybe these are all signs and symptoms of something that's actually real and tangible that we just can't describe.
I think that's part of it too. There are people in the threads who are constantly being like, "No, you guys are focusing on the wrong things. It's damage from vaccines. It's damage from this. It's damage from that. It's genetic damage from poor genetic selection over the past 50 or so years from the onset of the pill." That's a whole other argument. But it's everybody has their pet theory about the current maladies of the human race, and I think that at least these people have some sort of a scientific bent, and that's more palatable for the general public right now. They want to see scientific proof, right?
The fact that they took the shape or the symbol of a research paper even to market to X instead of some occult document or anything, because the worm pill threads, just one last reference to them, those were very occult. Lots of ancient symbols, lots of accusing the Egyptians of knowing about toxoplasmosis and mind control parasites and then drawing about them. This has none of that. Literally all of this is very grounded in a way that the contemporary person appreciates, because they don't like magic shit anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that one thing I thought of today is, and this is tangential and a slight aside, but like it almost feels like it was designed as an in for another idea. Do you understand what I mean by that? It's like they're priming us to believe in this cosmic thing living inside of us like a freaking spaceship, so that we believe something different down the line, so that something different down the line is more palatable.
Okay, like, predictive programming.
For sure, yeah.
Okay. That is a very interesting idea.
I think that is the biggest conspiratorial takeaway that I've gleaned from it, is could this potentially be some sort of priming of you and I to maybe try to make podcast episodes, talk to our friends about it, etc., to where somewhere down the line they disclose, oh yeah, aliens are real, they live in our guts. I don't know, man.
Honestly, so the Godlike Productions thread you mentioned, is that, how old is that? Is that from like 2021 with the PDF?
Let me go back here. Let me find the timestamps.
Because somebody was linking that PDF prior to the founding of the CDF thread.
So yeah, you were right about March. The Cosmic Death Fungus thread, this is pre-disclosure, started 3/19/2022. So you had the month right on the money. And the worm pill was all last year. Like it filled the whole year, and then I remember it started gaining traction on Reddit and alongside the boy slap thing. That all kind of it kind of all interweaves with one another, and I don't know what to make of that.
Well, hopefully, when we bring this shit back to the worm and the mind parasites, maybe we reach a synthesis here and we get some answers. Probably not.
I hope so. Maybe that's the actual answer to it all. It's thesis, antithesis, synthesis. One of them is presented as a problem, and the other one will be presented to us as the solution. I don't know, man.
So that concludes our first episode of the Schizo Post, I think. I think we've exhausted this topic, maybe. Spencer, I know you have a book out, and you'd probably like to plug it.
Yeah, sure. I wrote Egregore. You'll see it around on in the WG threads sometimes. I rarely ever shill for my own book. I'm usually too busy chasing toddlers around, but it's I call it a gothic horror. It's kind of a misnomer. If you're not into gothic, you might like it, but it is a horror novel. So, yeah. Thanks for the chance to plug it.
Ain't no wrong. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're probably going to get a podcast feed up for this particular show, just because it'll be easier to manage. So subscribe to the podcast feed for more episodes of this. We have a lot of these in the works. It turns out when you have a user base of 4chan guys, there are a lot of people with conspiracy theories that they've done a lot of research on. So we have a lot of these in the works. So look out for that.